Okay, let's be real. Midjourney, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, the world of AI image generators has absolutely exploded. And trying to pick the right one can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. But what if I told you the secret isn't about finding the one best tool, but about finding the right one that matches what you're actually trying to do? In this explainer, we're going to give you a super simple framework to figure that out.
You've probably felt this, right? It seems like a new model drops every other week, and the whole landscape just keeps shifting under our feet. So how do you find the right creative partner in this giant sea of options without going broke subscribing to everything? The answer is actually simpler than you think.
Well, here's the secret. You stop looking for the single best tool. It doesn't exist. Instead, you start to understand the core philosophy that drives each of these tools. Once you get that, the right choice for your project becomes incredibly clear.
So, to make sense of all this, we're going to introduce a pretty straightforward framework. Just think of the entire AI image world as being shaped by three main archetypes. You've got the artist's muse, the precision instrument, and the open canvas. Let's break down exactly what that means.
First up, let's dive into this fundamental tension that's really at the heart of AI image generation. It's this constant trade-off between artistic interpretation on one side and just literal get-it-done precision on the other. And this is the core difference between our first two archetypes, the muse and the instrument.
So on one side of the ring, we have the artist's muse, and the undisputed champion here is Midjourney. As Virtue puts it, it's basically the gold standard for a certain kind of image. You know, that moody, atmospheric, incredibly cinematic look. It's got a real vibe to it.
And this really gets to the core of what a muse actually is. It's not just about raw quality. It's about having a distinct aesthetic, an opinionated style that's been shaped and refined by its massive community. This makes it absolutely perfect for things like concept art or visual storytelling, where what you really care about is that emotional punch, not necessarily pixel-perfect accuracy.
But, and this is a big but, that signature style can also be a real limitation. What if you don't want a moody cinematic masterpiece? What if you just need a perfect, literal translation of the wacky idea in your head right down to the last tiny detail?
And this brings us to our second philosophy, the precision instrument. Here you're thinking of tools like OpenAI's DALL-E 3, the one that's baked right into ChatGPT. These tools are engineered for one thing above all else, following your instructions to the letter. You give it a precise command, and its whole job is to execute it, literally.
This slide just lays out that fundamental trade-off perfectly. An artist's muse, like Midjourney, it's going to give you this beautiful painterly vibe, but just look at what it does to text. It completely mangles it. A precision instrument, on the other hand, is built for those specifics. If you need a logo or an ad with words you can actually read, the choice is pretty obvious.
And just how precise are we talking here? Well, in some recent tests, ZDNet gave some of these top precision instrument models near-perfect scores for how well they followed the prompt. One of them scored a 93%, was called a no-contest total knockout winner. I mean, wow. For any task where you need a literal translation, this philosophy is just in a league of its own.
Now, this table really highlights what's happening in the market for photorealism. You can see the data shows that while a couple of top-tier models are tied for that absolute peak quality, others offer an incredible value. And notice that third model. It gives you nearly the same quality for just a fraction of the cost per image. If you're creating at any kind of scale, that kind of efficiency is a total game changer.
Okay, so we've got the artist and we've got the instrument. But what if you don't want to be just a user? What if you want to be the one who builds the whole thing from the ground up? Well, that leads us to our third philosophy, the open canvas.
This is the open canvas, and the poster child for this is Stable Diffusion. What open source means here is that the underlying code is totally public. You can download it, you can run it on your own machine, and you can tweak it and customize it to do exactly what you want. It's all about total freedom and control.
But this approach comes with a very clear trade-off. On one hand, yes, you get ultimate customization. Like, you can train a model on your own art to get perfect consistency for your brand. That's amazing. But on the other hand, that freedom comes with a much steeper learning curve, and you're going to need some powerful and often pretty expensive hardware. This path is for the tinkerers, the builders.
Okay, theory is great, but how does this framework actually help you solve real-world problems? Let's walk through a few common creative challenges and see which philosophy is the best fit for the job.
First up, the classic challenge that trips up so many AI models. You're trying to make an ad or a logo, and the text has to be perfect. Not that weird, garbled, milty letter stuff.
For this job, you're going to reach for a precision instrument every single time. The data is just crystal clear on this. The models in this category, like DALL-E 3, are simply built for this kind of task. They actually understand typography in a way that the artist's muse archetype just doesn't yet.
All right, next up, another huge hurdle. You finally created the perfect character for your kids' book or your new brand campaign. Now, how in the world do you make them look the same across dozens of different images and scenes?
And what's so fascinating is seeing how each philosophy tackles this exact same problem. Midjourney gives you a special character reference feature. Other tools use more of an image-to-image workflow. DALL-E 3 relies on you getting hyper-specific with your prompts, and Stable Diffusion, being the open canvas, just lets you use custom community-built tools. There's literally a solution for every type of creator out there. Now for the really high-stakes world of photorealism. We're talking e-commerce product shots, editorial portraits, the kind of stuff that has to be absolutely flawless. Because you get one uncanny valley face or one hand with 6 fingers and boom, the illusion is completely shattered.
This data basically gives us a perfect roadmap for photorealism. If you've got an unlimited budget and you need the absolute best of the best, there's a clear quality leader. But for most professional teams, the smart money is on the value option. You're getting nearly identical quality for a fraction of the price. And for those high-volume jobs, there are even some incredible budget-friendly choices. It's all about matching the tool to your budget and your needs.
So, after digging into the theories and walking through the practical examples, we come right back to that central question. With this framework in mind, how do you actually choose the right creative partner for you?
You know, the single most important thing to take away from all this is simple. There is no single best tool. The right choice depends completely on your goal. So the real question to ask yourself is, who are you in this creative process? Are you an artist looking for a muse, an engineer who needs a precision instrument, or are you a builder who wants a completely open canvas?
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. Right now, these three philosophies often feel like very separate paths. But as this technology evolves at, lightning speed, you have to wonder, are they going to converge? Will the ultimate AI creative partner of tomorrow be an artist, an instrument, and an open canvas all at the same time? Now that is something to think about.